The big room fell quiet as Lieutenant Olivia Barnes entered. She walked with a steady step, her blue uniform neat and clean. Olivia was not tall, but she moved with the sure way of someone who knew what they were doing. Her brown hair was tied back tight, and her eyes missed nothing as she looked around. "Lieutenant Barnes, thank you for coming," said Captain Frank Morrison. He stood by a large window that showed the stars outside. "You've been chosen for something very important." Olivia stood straight. "What are my orders, sir?" "Humanity has met aliens for the first time," said Morrison. He pushed a button, and a picture showed up on the wall. It showed beings that looked almost like humans, but with gray skin, wider shoulders, and eyes that glowed yellow. "They call themselves the Jarkali. They found our radio signals and came to meet us." "They don't look friendly," said Olivia. "They're not," said Morrison with a small laugh that had no joy in it. "They are fighters. They think strength is the most important thing. They want to know if humans are worth talking to or if we are too weak." Olivia frowned. "And Earth Command agreed to this." "We didn't have much choice," said Morrison. "Their ships have weapons we've never seen before. If we want peace, we need to show them we're strong enough to be respected." The next day, Olivia stood in a large meeting room on the neutral station where both humans and aliens had agreed to meet. 5 humans and 5 Jarkali faced each other across a round table. The alien leader, who they learned was called Vrextor, looked at the humans with clear scorn. He was almost 7 feet tall, with muscles that showed even under his strange armor. "So these are humans," he said in a deep voice. The translator box on the table turned his words into English. "You are smaller than I expected." "Size isn't everything," said Admiral John Porter, the head of the human group. Vrextor made a sound like rocks falling. It took Olivia a moment to realize he was laughing. "In the universe we know, power is what matters," said Vrextor. "Your ships are slow. Your weapons are simple. Your bodies," he looked at Olivia and the other humans, "your bodies are soft and weak." "We didn't come here to be insulted," said Porter, his face getting red. "No, you came here to be tested," said Vrextor. He stood up, towering over everyone. "For 10,000 years, the Jarkali have tested new species we meet. The strong become our allies. The weak become our servants." Olivia felt a cold feeling in her stomach. This was going very badly. "What kind of test?" asked Susan Kelly, one of the scientists on the team. "Combat," said Vrextor, showing teeth that looked too sharp. 1 against 1. 8 matches. Different rules for each. If you win enough, we will respect you. If not." He let the words hang in the air. Admiral Porter stood up. "Earth does not agree to this. We came to talk peace, not to fight." "Then you came to surrender," said Vrextor. "Because in our culture, those who will not fight have already lost." The room was tense. Olivia could see Porter thinking hard. They all knew what was at stake. "Fine," said Porter finally. "We accept your challenge." Vrextor smiled, which somehow made him look even more dangerous. "Good. The games will start tomorrow. Prepare your best fighters." As the meeting ended and the aliens left, Porter turned to the human team. His face was grim. "We need to win this," he said, "or humanity might face a war we can't win." Olivia nodded, feeling the weight of what was coming. She didn't know why she had been chosen to be here, but she had a feeling she was about to find out. The fate of Earth might depend on it. Olivia sat in a quiet room with the rest of the human team. Admiral Porter stood at the front, his face serious as he looked at each person. "The Jarkali have sent the rules for their tournament," he said. "Each match will be different. They want to test all kinds of human skills." A screen on the wall showed 8 boxes, each with a different picture. "Match 1 will test raw strength," said Porter. "Match 2 will test speed. Match 3 will test fighting skill. Match 4 will test how long someone can keep fighting when tired. Match 5 will test quick thinking. Match 6 will test bravery. Match 7 will test weapon skill. And match 8? Asked Olivia. She noticed that the last box was empty. The final match will be special, said Porter. The Jarkali say it will combine all skills. They will only tell us the rules when we get there. Everyone in the room looked worried. How could they prepare for something when they didn't know what it would be? Who will fight in each match? Asked a tall man named Alan Reed. We've picked our best people for each test, said Porter. For the final match, we've chosen Lieutenant Barnes. Everyone turned to look at Olivia. She felt her heart beat faster. Why her? She wasn't the strongest or the fastest. Sir, I don't understand, she said. I'm not the best fighter we have. Porter smiled a little. No, but you have something no one else has. You grew up on the moon, right? Olivia nodded. Yes, sir. My parents were scientists at Armstrong Base, and you trained in the special fighting style they developed there. Lunar combat arts, said Olivia. Yes, sir. Porter nodded. That's why we picked you. The Jarkali are used to fighting in normal gravity. You know how to fight when gravity changes, and our spies tell us the final match will have changing gravity. A woman named Karen Davis raised her hand. Who will we be fighting? The screen changed to show pictures of 8 Jarkali. They were all big, with muscles that looked like rocks under their gray skin. Their yellow eyes seemed to glow even in the pictures. These are their champions, said Porter. Each has won hundreds of fights. The last picture showed the biggest Jarkali of all. He had deep cuts on his face that must have been battle scars. His name appeared under his picture. Grazak. That's your opponent, Lieutenant, said Porter to Olivia. He's never lost a fight. Olivia studied the alien's face. He looked strong, but also sure of himself. Too sure, maybe. What happens if we lose? Asked Alan. According to their customs, if we don't win at least 4 matches, Earth will have to give them whatever they ask for, said Porter. Land, resources, maybe even people to serve them. The room was quiet. Everyone felt the heavy weight of what might happen. And if we win? Asked Olivia. Then they will treat us as equals, said Porter. We can make real peace. Later that night, Olivia sat alone in her room. She opened her computer and pulled up everything they knew about Jarkali bodies. How they moved, how their muscles worked. She needed to know everything about them. She also played back videos of herself training in the special rooms on the moon, where gravity could be changed in an instant. In those rooms, she had learned to fight in ways that seemed impossible to people who only knew Earth's gravity. As she watched herself flip and turn without touching the ground, using gravity itself as a weapon, she began to see how she might win. The fate of Earth depended on it. The first match began the next day. Thousands of eyes watched from both ships. The humans sat in tense silence as Steve Miller, their strongest man, stepped into the arena. He was big with muscles built from years of heavy lifting. But next to the Jarkali fighter, he looked small. The test was simple. Each fighter would try to move a heavy metal block as far as they could. The alien went first. With a loud roar, he pushed the block across the floor, leaving deep marks. When he finished, the block had moved 30 feet. Steve took a deep breath and began to push. His face turned red. Sweat ran down his face, but the block moved only 20 feet before he had to stop. The first match was lost. Olivia watched the second match from a screen in her room. This time, a woman named Maria Diaz raced against a thin, fast Jarkali. They had to run through a maze and reach the end. Maria was fast, but the alien was faster. Another loss for Earth. By the third match, things looked bad. The human fighter did well, but still lost. 3 matches, 3 losses. Earth needed to win at least 4 out of the 8 matches. Now they needed to win 4 out of the remaining 5. We're in trouble, said Admiral Porter as he met with the team. Their fighters are stronger and faster than we thought. The next match is mine, said Gerald Watson. He was older than the others, with gray in his hair. Endurance, right? I can handle that. Gerald had been a boxer for 20 years. He knew how to take hits and keep going. His match was about who could last the longest while doing hard work. When Gerald entered the arena, the Jarkelli laughed. His opponent was young and full of energy. But Gerald just smiled. The task was to lift weights over and over without stopping. At first, the alien was much faster, but as time passed, Gerald kept the same steady pace. Up, down. Up, down. The alien began to slow. After 3 hours, the alien's arms shook. After 4, he dropped the weights and fell to his knees. Gerald, still lifting, won the match. The humans cheered. They had their first win. The 5th match came the next day. Lisa Decker, a small woman with quick eyes, faced a puzzle contest against a Jarkelli who had 3 arms. They had to solve problems and find hidden patterns. At first, the alien was winning, but then Lisa noticed something. The alien always followed the same steps, like he had memorized them. When a new kind of problem appeared, he got stuck. Lisa changed her way of thinking for each problem. She looked for new answers instead of using old ones. Slowly, she pulled ahead. When the final puzzle came, the alien tried the same old ways. But Lisa saw a new path and solved it first. Another win for Earth. Vrextor, the Jarkelli leader, was not happy. He had thought humans would be easy to beat. Now the score was 3-2, still in favor of the aliens, but closer than he wanted. The next matches will be harder, he said to Porter. Your fighters have been lucky. Not lucky, said Porter. Smart. We learn and adapt. That's what humans do best. Olivia watched recordings of all the matches in her room. She noticed things others might miss. How the aliens moved. How they thought. They were strong but stiff. They followed patterns and didn't like to change. That's their weakness, she said to herself. They expect us to fight like they do. She thought about how she would fight Grazak in the final match. She wouldn't try to be stronger or faster. She would be different. She would use what made humans special. She would use her mind. Olivia sat in the science lab of the human ship. Around her, screens showed videos of the Jarkelli fighters from every angle. She had watched them over and over, looking for anything that might help. Lieutenant Barnes, said a voice. Olivia turned to see William Chen, the ship's lead scientist. He was carrying a small box. I think I found something you should know about. What is it? Asked Olivia, sitting up straight. William set the box on the table. We got a small sample of Jarkelli tissue during the matches, just a few skin cells and a drop of their blood. I've been studying it. He pushed a button on the box, and a small screen lit up. It showed strange cells that moved slowly. Their muscles are different from ours, said William. They're much stronger, but they have a weakness. Olivia leaned closer. What kind of weakness? Watch this, said William. He turned a dial on the box, and the screen showed a sound wave. As the sound played, too low for human ears to hear, the alien cells began to shake. Then they broke apart. Certain sounds make their muscle tissue break down, said William. It's like glass that breaks when you hit the right note. Olivia thought about this. Could we use sound weapons against them? William shook his head. No, it only works with direct contact. And the Jarkelli would notice if we brought any new weapons. But I thought you should know. After William left, Olivia went back to watching the videos. Now she looked for new things. How did the aliens move? Did they have any habits that she could use? She noticed that all the Jarkelli fighters planted their feet wide when they attacked. They never changed their stance once they set it. They were strong, but not flexible. That night, Olivia met with Admiral Porter in his office. I've been learning about their culture, said Porter. The Jarkelli believe that physical combat shows who deserves to live and who deserves to serve. They've conquered 12 other species this way. What happened to those other species? Asked Olivia. They became workers for the Jarkelli. Not quite slaves, but not free either. Olivia frowned. That can't happen to Earth. No, it can't, agreed Porter. The matches are now tied at 3-3. We won the 6th match today when Kyle Reeves showed his bravery. The 7th match is tomorrow, and then it's your turn. I'll be ready, said Olivia. There's something else you should know, said Porter. Just winning isn't enough. We need to win in a way that makes them respect us. If they think we won by luck or tricks, they might still attack. Olivia nodded slowly. I understand. I need to beat them at their own game, but in a human way. Later, in her room, Olivia practiced moves that she had learned growing up on the moon. In the low gravity there, people had created new ways to fight that used the body's weight and the pull of gravity in special ways. She moved her hands in slow circles, feeling the air around her. On the moon, she had learned to feel tiny changes in gravity. Here on the ship, the feeling was different, but she could still sense it. Gravity is just another tool, she said to herself, remembering her old teacher's words. It pulls on everything, all the time. Learn to work with it, not against it. She thought about what William had told her about the alien muscles, and what she had seen in their fighting style, and what Porter had said about their culture. Slowly, a plan began to form in her mind. She would not try to match Grazak's strength. That would be a surer way to lose. Instead, she would show him, and all the Zarkeli, something they had never seen before. The whole ship was quiet as the 7th match began. The score was tied at 3-3. If a human fighter won this match, Earth would be safe. If not, everything would depend on Olivia in the final contest. Peter Johnson, a tall man who was good with all kinds of weapons, stepped into the arena. He would face a Zarkeli fighter in a test of shooting skill. They would use light guns that didn't hurt but showed where hits landed. The match was close. Both fighters hit their targets again and again. But in the end, the alien was just a bit better. Peter missed his last shot by less than an inch, and the match was over. The Zarkeli were winning 4-3. Now only Olivia's match remained. Back on the human ship, the mood was dark. Admiral Porter called a meeting with the whole team. We have one chance left, he said. If Lieutenant Barnes wins her match, the tournament will be tied. The Zarkeli rules say that a tie means both sides are equal. Everyone looked at Olivia. She sat still, her face calm, but inside her heart was beating fast. What do we know about the final match? Asked William Chen. Very little, said Porter. The Zarkeli have kept it secret. We know it will happen in a special arena with changing gravity. And we know Olivia will face Grazak, their best fighter. Just then, a message came in from the alien ship. Porter read it and frowned. Grazak wants to meet you before the match, he told Olivia. He says it's part of their fighting tradition. Is it safe? Asked William. They say no weapons will be allowed, said Porter. But it's your choice, Lieutenant. Olivia thought for a moment. I'll do it. I want to see him up close before we fight. An hour later, Olivia stood in a small room between the two ships. The door opened, and Grazak walked in. He was even bigger in person than he looked in pictures. His gray skin had many scars, and his yellow eyes glowed as he looked down at Olivia. So you are the human fighter, he said in a deep voice. The translator box on the wall made his words into English. You are small. Size isn't everything, said Olivia, staying calm. Grazak laughed, a sound like rocks falling. In battle, size is power. Power is victory. I have killed fighters twice your size. How you fight matters more than how big you are, said Olivia. Grazak leaned close. I have studied your human fighting styles. They are simple, weak. Tomorrow, I will break you, and your planet will serve the Zarkeli. Olivia didn't back away. You've never faced someone who trained on the moon. Moon, your little gray rock. Grazak laughed again. What could you learn there that would help you against me? You'll see tomorrow, said Olivia. Grazak's yellow eyes narrowed. You are brave for someone so weak. I will enjoy our fight." After he left, Olivia went back to her room. She spent the night going over her plan again and again. She thought about what William had told her about Jarkelly muscles, about how they broke down with certain sounds. She thought about what she had seen in the videos, how the aliens always planted their feet wide and didn't change their stance. And she thought about what she had learned growing up on the moon, where gravity was only 1/6 as strong as on Earth. In her room, she practiced the moves she would use. They were simple but unlike anything the Jarkelly had seen before. If her plan worked, she wouldn't need to match Grazak's strength. She would use his own strength against him. The next morning, as she prepared to leave for the arena, Admiral Porter stopped her. "Earth is counting on you, Lieutenant," he said. Olivia nodded. "I won't let our planet down, sir. I know what to do." And with that, she walked toward the final match, ready to face the alien champion who thought humans were weak. The final match arena was unlike anything Olivia had seen before. It was a large round room with walls that seemed to glow with a soft blue light. The floor was made of some strange metal that felt slightly warm under her feet. Above and around the sides, screens showed the faces of humans and Jarkelly watching from both ships. Admiral Porter had explained what made this arena special. "They can change the gravity in different parts of the room," he had told her. "It might feel like Earth in one spot and like Jupiter in another." Olivia smiled to herself. The Jarkelly thought this would give them an edge. They didn't know that changing gravity was exactly what she had trained for all her life on the moon. A loud horn sounded, and a door on the far side opened. Grazak, the Jarkelly champion, stepped into the arena. The aliens watching cheered as he raised his arms. He wore armor on his chest and arms, with strange symbols painted on it. His yellow eyes scanned the room until they found Olivia. To show his strength, Grazak picked up a metal bar that had been left in the center of the arena. With a grunt, he bent it in half, then in half again. The Jarkelly cheered louder. Vrexter's voice came through speakers around the arena. "The final match will test all skills," he said. "Strength, speed, thinking, and fighting ability. The gravity will change during the fight. There are no weapons allowed. The match ends when one fighter cannot continue or gives up." Olivia wore a simple blue suit with the Earth symbol on the shoulder. It was made of light material that wouldn't slow her down. Next to Grazak in his heavy armor, she looked very small and weak. The Jarkelly in the crowd began to laugh. Some pointed at her, making fun of her size. Even some of the humans watching looked worried. Could this small woman really defeat the alien giant? Grazak smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Are all humans so tiny? This will be over quickly." Olivia said nothing. She stood in the center of the arena, breathing slowly and feeling the gravity around her. It was normal Earth gravity for now, but she could sense that it might change at any moment. "Begin," shouted Vrextor. Grazak didn't rush forward right away as Olivia had expected. Instead, he walked slowly around the edge of the arena, watching her. He was being careful, which surprised her. Maybe he had learned something from the other matches where humans had won. Suddenly, the gravity in the room shifted. On one side, it became much stronger, like standing on a giant planet. On the other side, it became weaker, like being on the moon. Grazak smiled and stepped into the low-gravity area. He moved faster there, jumping high and far. He was trying to use the changing gravity to his advantage. But Olivia had grown up in changing gravity. While Grazak leaped around, showing off his strength, she stood perfectly still, feeling how the gravity shifted in the room. She closed her eyes for a moment, mapping it in her mind. There were patterns to the changes. She could feel them. And if she could feel them, she could use them. Grazak grew tired of showing off. With a roar, he charged toward Olivia, moving from low gravity into higher gravity, using the momentum to add force to his attack. The humans watching held their breath. Olivia looked so small compared to the charging alien. Many closed their eyes, not wanting to see what would happen when he reached her. But Olivia stayed perfectly still, her eyes now open and focused. She watched Grazak come closer and closer. She did not move her feet. She did not raise her hands to block. She simply waited. Is she frozen with fear? Admiral Porter whispered to William Chen as they watched. William shook his head. No, he said. She's waiting for the perfect moment. Just as Grazak reached her, his arm stretched out to grab her. Olivia smiled. The moment had come. Time seemed to slow down as Grazak reached Olivia. The huge alien's hand was about to grab her shoulder. His yellow eyes were bright with the joy of what he thought would be an easy win. The Jarkelli watching cheered, sure their champion would quickly defeat this small human. What happened next surprised everyone. Just before Grazak touched her, Olivia moved her hands in a quick circle. To those watching, it looked like she was just waving her arms, but she was doing something much more important. She was feeling the gravity around her and changing how it flowed. On the moon, gravity was weak. People who lived there learned to feel even tiny changes in it. Olivia had trained for years to not just feel gravity, but to work with it, to shape it in small ways. Now, as Grazak's arm came toward her, Olivia created a small area around her where gravity shifted. Not enough for most people to notice, but enough to affect someone moving fast. Grazak felt something strange as he reached for her. His arm seemed heavier suddenly, but he was moving too fast to stop. He stumbled slightly, confused by the change. That was when Olivia struck. Not with her hands or feet, but with gravity itself. She pulled the gravity down hard just on Grazak's arm, while pushing it up on the rest of his body. The effect was like a giant hand grabbing his arm and twisting. Grazak's eyes went wide with shock as his own forward movement, combined with the sudden gravity shift, bent his arm at an angle it was never meant to bend. There was a loud crack that echoed through the arena. Grazak's arm broke cleanly at the middle of his forearm. The arena went completely silent. No one, human or Jarkelli, made a sound. They had all seen something impossible. Olivia had broken the arm of the alien champion without even touching him, without even moving her feet. Grazak fell to his knees, holding his broken arm. His face showed pain, but even more, it showed confusion. He looked up at Olivia, trying to understand what had happened. How? He asked. You didn't touch me. I didn't need to, said Olivia. I used your own strength and movement against you. And I used gravity. The silence broke as the Jarkelli began to talk all at once. Some sounded angry, others confused. Many pointed at Olivia and asked each other questions. Vrexter's voice came through the speakers. This match is not over. Grazak, can you continue? The alien champion looked at his broken arm, then back at Olivia. For a moment, it seemed like he might try to keep fighting, but then he shook his head. I cannot fight where I do not understand, he said. Vrexter's voice was tight with anger. The human wins this match. The tournament is tied at 4-4. The humans watching began to cheer. They had done it. Earth was safe. But then Vrexter spoke again. Humans, you have used some trick to win. This is not honorable combat. Admiral Porter's voice answered him. There was no trick. Lieutenant Barnes used science and skill, not weapons or machines. She has trained since childhood to control gravity in small ways. It is a human ability, just as your strength is a Jarkelli ability. Vrexter didn't answer right away. The screen showed him talking with other Jarkelli, looking angry and confused. Olivia stayed where she was, still not moving her feet. She looked up at Grazak, who was still on his knees. Your people are strong, she said to him. But strength isn't everything. Humans are good at finding different ways to solve problems. We don't always use the most direct path. Grazak looked at her with new eyes. Not angry now, but curious. You broke my arm without touching me, he said. This is a kind of strength I have never seen before. At that moment, something important changed between humans and the Jarkelli. Something neither side had expected when the tournament began. The day after the final match, leaders from both sides met on the neutral station. The mood was different now. The Jarkali no longer looked at the humans with scorn. Instead, they watched carefully, as if trying to see something they had missed before. Vrextor spoke first. We have talked among ourselves about what happened. At first, many thought the human used some hidden weapon or trick. There was no trick, said Admiral Porter. Lieutenant Barnes used a skill that many humans who grow up in low gravity can learn. Vrextor nodded slowly. We have seen the recordings many times. We believe you now. She shaped gravity itself with her mind and body. This is not something the Jarkali can do. Olivia stood with the human team, her face calm. Her right hand still tingled from the effort of moving so much gravity during the match. It was not easy to do what she had done. Few humans could manage it, even with years of training. But she didn't say this to the aliens. Will you explain how you did it? Asked Grazak. His arm was in a hard cast now. He had come to the meeting despite his injury. I wish to understand. Olivia nodded. On the moon, where I grew up, gravity is much weaker than on Earth. We can feel tiny changes in it. With training, some of us learn to push and pull at gravity in small ways. It doesn't work well on planets with strong gravity. But in a room where gravity was already changing, you could use those changes to make bigger effects. Finished Grazak. Clever. The tournament is tied at 4-4, said Vrextor. According to our rules, this means both sides are equal in strength. What happens now? Asked Porter. Vrextor looked at Grazak, then back at the humans. For 10,000 years, the Jarkali have tested new species we meet. Those who lost became our servants. Those who tied became our trading partners. But never before has anyone won by showing us a kind of strength we did not know existed. The room was quiet. Everyone waited for what would come next. You have shown us that there are different kinds of strength, said Vrextor. Physical power, yes, but also the strength of adapting, of finding new ways to solve problems. This is a strength the Jarkali lack. He stood up straighter. We offer not just a trading agreement, but an alliance. Our strength with yours. Together, we would be greater than either alone. The humans looked at each other in surprise. This was more than they had hoped for. We accept, said Porter with a smile. An alliance between equals. Later, as the humans prepared to return to their ship, Grazak approached Olivia. I have fought in 212 battles, he said. You are the first to defeat me. It wasn't just me, said Olivia. Everything I know, I learned from other humans. We work together, share knowledge. That's another kind of human strength. Grazak thought about this. When my arm heals, will you teach me your fighting style? Olivia smiled. I can try, but it might be hard for you. Jarkali muscles are different from human muscles. Then I will learn what I can, said Grazak. And perhaps I can teach you some Jarkali fighting methods in return. 1 year later, Olivia stood before a class of 20 students. Half were human, half were Jarkali. She had been chosen to lead the new Mixed Combat Academy, where both species learned from each other. Today we will practice feeling the gravity around us, she told them. This is not easy. It takes patience. She watched as humans and aliens tried to sense the tiny changes in gravity that she could feel so clearly. Most were struggling, but a few from both species were beginning to get it. Good, she said with a smile. Remember, true strength comes in many forms. The strongest fighter is not always the one with the biggest muscles, but the one who understands their environment best. As she watched her students practice, Olivia knew that the future of both species was brighter because of what had happened in that arena. Sometimes, the greatest victories come not from defeating others, but from helping them see the world in a new way.